my fellow humans. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. We do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. If the messages does happen to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So I did get a channel message, and that was to look into what they secretly regret when it comes to you, right? So this can be anybody. It can be family, friends, co-workers, an ex-lover, a love interest, whomever it is, your intuition should let you know who it is that we're referring to on the reading itself. And we are going to be using the Lantern Oracle today by Angelina Mirabito. Such a beautiful oracle deck. I love this deck, felt called to using it. So let us hop to the prayer first and foremost, and then we will go ahead and get this reading started today, okay? I don't have any announcements as of right now. Just I pray that everybody's having a beautiful day, morning, evening, night, wherever you are. And many blessings and light to you all in this time. I feel like coming into the middle of the year, we definitely just need that reminder that everything's okay and we're doing the best that we can, and that is enough in this moment. My beloved source, this prayer is for any and all who come on to this reading. I ask that you help us to open our hearts to allow uncertainty to fuel our hearts with curiosity, knowing that curiosity opens up doors for us. It opens up opportunities for us, and it allows us to experience new things: freedom, flow, fluidity, change, and surrender. Sometimes we get so stuck in believing that things have to be a certain way, and that's the only way that we can be seen as valuable and worthy is enough, and that's not true at all. We've always been enough as we are, and we're allowed to take up space, and we're allowed to let our hearts shine. We're allowed to let our light shine. We are in this state of being a miracle, the miracle of existence. This is what we open our hearts for gratitude towards. Life is such a precious gift. We don't need to become anything to be seen as a miracle. We just need to accept it as its truth, because that's the true thing. You gave us life. You gave us breath. You gave us the opportunities that we have in front of us. But the only thing that gives us true value is our soul, and that's something that's sacred to ourselves and sacred to you. And today I ask that you help us lean into the beauty of that sacred energy, to lean into the beauty of that gift, to lean into the beauty of that life beyond life, knowing that we will always be enough. We will always be valuable. We will always have that special light within us, and that nothing we need do will change or eradicate that from us. Help us on this path to self-discovery, self-awareness, self-love, self-respect, and above all else, self-acceptance for how we are in this here now here moment. As these words are spoken onto this reading today, onto this tribe, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. All right. So let's move this over here. All right. What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? Okay, thank you. What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? Pile 1, what do they secretly regret when it comes to you? What oracle card will help us better understand this message for pile 1 today's source? What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? Whoa. Thank you. Pile number 2, what do they secretly regret when it comes to you? Source, what oracle card will help us better understand this message today? Thank you. Okay, what do they secretly regret when it comes to you, pile number 3? Source, what oracle card will help us better understand this message today for pile number 3? Thank you. It's interesting because I was getting a message that they just didn't see you clearly. They were seeing you through judgmental lenses. They were seeing you through their own distorted perceptions, their own distorted realities, which of course most people do, right? Like most people see us through those lenses. Most of us all as humans see others through those lenses. And it's hard for us to give people the benefit of the doubt. And even so, there was this energy that was really blocking them from seeing the love that you had to give, from seeing the light. There could have been a competition between you and this person as well, or they made it competition. They made it this whole big thing about, I have to be better than you. I have to be lighter than you. I have to be brighter than you. I have to be more accepted and seen than you. If I have more people who are accepting me, then I've somehow won some sort of race. But even if they do win that, or if they have won that at some point, they still feel empty and they keep raising the bar in regards to that connection, in regards to that competition with you. And what they secretly regret is not stopping and taking time to actually get to know you better, to actually understand where you were coming from, because they see that no matter how high you rise and no matter how much you expand your light, you're still always this compassionate and humble person. And at first they thought that it was just an act in order to receive acceptance from others, in order to receive recognition or attention from others. But there's only so long that someone can keep up the facade until it's the cracks begin to show. And with you, there's not been any cracks in regards to that kindness, in regards to that compassion, in regards to that light that you share with others. And now they're kicking themselves because they realized that you were the real deal all along, and that they're the ones that harshly judged you before ever actually getting to know you. And that might have been because you reminded them of someone who burned them in the past, or you reminded them of a situation that they had been through in the past. But regardless of what it was, that's what they secretly regret now, is that they never took the time to get to know you, and they never actually opened their hearts to letting you in. And now they see you glowing and growing, and they recognize that if they had been a little bit more forgiving and a little bit more accepting, that the two of you could have possibly gone this journey together and had been really beneficial to each other in the sense of being support systems for one another in regards to truly taking care of and defending one another. And there are times when they find themselves wanting to defend you when people are saying things about you, but they find themselves in a state of continuing to stay quiet because they recognize that right now they're coming from a very hypocritical place, because they were one of the loudest ones to talk badly about you behind your back. And they really set the stage up for them to be seen as they were trying to project this energy onto you. So what they thought was a false mask that you were wearing, they're actually coming to terms with and being shown that their mask is what was false, and that it's starting to crack and show. And they found themselves backed up against a wall where they're either going to have to come clean, or they're going to have to eradicate all those people in their lives that they said things about you to. And it's a very uncomfortable situation, albeit it is healing when they finally decide which route to take, either dropping the mask and being honest with the people around them, or removing themselves from the people around them. Both paths will be ultimately healing from them, which for you, that might not matter, but they are showing me that there's healing down both paths for them. And as we know, healing is not something that is beautiful and wonderful and so inviting to go into. We all know that healing can be very challenging, and it can ask us to face those parts of ourselves that we would rather keep locked away. And right now they're being given a path to face that part of themselves that they ended up projecting onto you in a desperate attempt to keep themselves hidden. Okay, so let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. Yeah, oh my gosh, I did not know this was on the bottom of the deck, but this energy was coming in so strong. Oh, okay, we have distorted perceptions. Reality is rarely what we are raised to believe that it is. This energy was, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Source. Thank you so much, because this energy was so strong coming in. It like felt like it hit me like a brick, is how strong that energy is. It's like they were looking at you through their own trauma. They were looking at you through their own pain. And of course, we can sit here and judge them, right? We can be like, how dare they do that? How dare they judge me? They have no right to judge me. But ultimately, we've all been there, right? Every single one of us has done that because it's part of the human experience. We've judged others unjustly because of our own past experiences. Whether we thought someone was going to betray our trust, betray us mentally, emotionally, physically, whether they were going to betray our love, we've all put other people in our lives through this filter of what has become or was at one point a protection for us from our emotional ego or some sort of coping mechanism. But that's exactly what happened here, is that they projected onto you this very difficult energy, and through that projection they were actually isolated into facing a part of themselves. And what they secretly regret is just not taking more time to get to know you, is not asking those personal questions that maybe they asked other people, or not allowing you to be who you were and to see what path that would lead the both of you down. They just were so quick to judge. They were so quick to force you into a situation where you had to choose them or choose yourself, which became a self-fulfilling prophecy for them, where they pushed you away and you had to choose yourself for your own well-being. And they were only left with one answer. Of course they would do that. Of course they would hurt me and choose themselves. Of course they're not going to choose me in this situation. Why? Because it became a self-fulfilling prophecy for them. And now they're actually coming to terms with that, and they're being shown that energy. And whether that's through you or through the fact that they treated you this way, and now someone else is coming in to actually water the seeds that you had planted at some point, it doesn't matter. It's like things have turned, the tables have turned, and now they're forced to face the music, and they're forced to face themselves, and it's a very uncomfortable place to come from. Let's see what this says from the book. Yeah, it just feels like this distorted perceptions. There's really no other better way to put it because it's so strong. It says, how we experience the world changes throughout life. Such shifts in perception typically occur when an event, a person, a place, or a new life stage leaves us questioning something integral to what has been our understanding of the world or ourselves. Consequently, our perception and thinking shifts irreversibly and changes how we experience our reality. The maiden's expression is calm and accepting as she observes the world without the distorted lens of the feathered tent. The tent represents the outdated cultural, ancestral, and social conditioning she is awakening from. She stands firm in the solemn awe of the wisdom revealed in her newfound world. All that she has been raised to believe about the world and herself no longer applies. She sees beyond how limited and false certain aspects of her perception and understanding have been. With this new perspective and clarity, it is now possible for her to grow beyond, rather than blindly repeat, the intergenerational patterns, fears, and false beliefs that would otherwise have a deterring effect on the life she would go on to live. A sophisticated shift in consciousness would soon be made available to you. Initially, seeing things differently may feel alienating or even like a betrayal or a great loss. It may present initial challenges in what to do with and about this new perspective, especially if you had envisioned for your life have been dramatically altered as a result. The maiden assures you that any confusion, grief, or upheaval from releasing distorted perceptions or limiting beliefs will eventually open into amazing opportunities, remarkable growth, and an increase in self-sovereignty. The maiden's message is power, beauty, and liberation happen when we do not close our eyes or retreat back into the mentality we have outgrown. Yeah, so there's something here that they're no longer able to run from, and what they secretly regret is that now you've been growing this entire time and expanding, and they see that there was sincerity behind your actions, and they dropped the ball when it came to you, and so they do regret that. They do regret that deeply. But there's no changing that now. Like, they can't go back and change what mistakes they made. They can only grow from them, and that's what they're being forced to do in this time. Which many of us have been put in those situations where we've had to either face ourselves or continue to retreat from ourselves. And many of us have chosen growth, but there are many of us still who have chosen to stay stagnant. And I do feel like for many of you, whoever this person is or what this reading represents for you, it does feel like many of them are ready and willing to move on, and they feel like they lost a very valuable energy when it came to you. And maybe some of them did have extenuating circumstances, or they had ulterior motives when it came to you, but ultimately they were shown a different path because you altered them in some way, shape, or form. So for pile 1, we do have this dice with Mercury on it for you to choose from. Or we have this carnelian sacral chakra gemstone with the seed sound VAM on it. Pile number 2, we have this dice, which also came out with Mercury on it. Or we have this jade gemstone with the heart chakra seed sound on it, which is Yam. And pile 3, we have this dice with the North Node on it for you to choose from. Or we have this lapis lazuli gemstone for the third eye with the third eye seed sound Aum, which is A-U-M on it. So pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Whichever pile you feel called to, that should be the one for you, and I will see you there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Mercury on it, or perhaps you felt called to this carnelian gemstone with the seed sound VAM on it, or maybe you were called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on what do they secretly regret when it comes to you. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel. So with that being said, there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. If the message does resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And with that, please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So let's go ahead and hop to it and find out, what do they secretly regret when it comes to you? For pile 1 source, what do they secretly regret when it comes to you? What would you like pile 1 to know today, source? Okay, so they've got the 4th house here, Sun energy, and Virgo. With the 4th house, this could be family. It could be your mother as well, or someone that appeared as a motherly energy in your life. Someone that at first seemed very compassionate, caring, and nurturing, but then it suddenly turned into being very overbearing, controlling, and also passive-aggressive. But also with this energy, it does see, like, there's this energy here where it feels like at some point this person secretly regrets that they tried to force you to be perfect. They had an idea for you. They had an image of who you needed to be to be successful, or to have some sort of stability in life, or to shine in life, or to be seen and recognized in life. And it feels like they forced you into a state of perfectionism. So they always needed top quality from you. They always expected, if this was a mother, like, she could have expected extremely high grades from you. Like, an A was never enough. It had to be higher than an A. You had to have 100% or have to be the top in the class. Like, if you were in college or something like that, or if this was work, this could have even been like a boss that expected incredibly high results from you on the floor, like sales, marketing, or anything like that. Like, you had to bring in, I keep hearing top brass, like you had to be top brass. You had to have the highest stats. You had to have the best grades. You had to be in the upper echelon of society, and that was the only way that you were going to break free of whatever demeaning or diminutive lifestyle that your family had gone through. So especially if this was like a mother or parent in your life, they could have been a Leo, a Cancer, a Virgo. You could have the 4th house in Virgo energy. You could have Sun Virgo energy. You could have Sun Cancerian energy as well. You could also have most of your chart in the 4th house, okay? And there could be squares. I'm getting squares in the 4th house as well. But they secretly regret pushing you because they pushed you away. Like, this feels like someone that feels an empty nest or feels the void of your absence because they pushed you away with their passive-aggressive energy. You know, it's hard because being in the throes of that, pile 1, it can feel like you're never given room to be you. Like, you have to be this molded version of what someone expects you to be. And then when you finally leave, there can be a lot of bad blood between you and this person because of that. And it can be really hard for you to see from this place of they were really trying to do the best that they could, because it feels so personal. And there's also this energy from you, pile 1, where I'm feeling like if they wanted perfection, why couldn't they be the one that did that instead of shoving it onto me? And that's a very valid way of feeling, and that's a very valid question to ask. And I just feel like maybe they see things that you had more opportunities than they did. And this is not about giving them leeway or anything like that. It's just, I feel like Source wants you to see the other side, the other shoe on the other foot here, because it feels like they were doing it with the best of intentions. And yes, we all know that the highway to hell is paved with the best of intentions. So they didn't understand the amount of psychological pressures that they were placing on you through acting like this. They didn't see that until you chose freedom, until you chose yourself, until you chose to move away. And now they really regret that because they have either lost that relationship or that connection with you, and they miss you. But also there could be like, if this is a parent, they could have lost access to like grandchildren or to extended family because of that. And there's this feeling of empty nesting, like it's just like, but a forced empty nest. And they feel very lonely, but there's also this regret where they realize, like, if only I hadn't been so hard on pile one and tried to force them into the spotlight. The other thing here would be like, maybe you had some really beautiful talent, like you could have been a singer or had some really talented experience with an instrument or art talent, or even like money, like finances or something along those lines, or just did really well in school and they were trying to hone that to perfection. But in turn of trying to hone you into perfection, right, they're trying to sharpen you, constantly sharpening you. It dulled every one of your senses. And there was a disconnect. You could no longer feel the excitement in life. You could no longer feel joy. Even if this was something that you loved at some point, there's like some stain on it now because of this situation. And it's hard for you to go back and to look at that like it's something that matters to you because of how much pressure was placed on you. And they really do regret that. They really regret pushing you to the extent of not only losing you in their lives, but also you losing interest in something that at some point may have really meant something dearly to you. And they may not act like that outwardly because they don't know how. They don't know how to come at you from this place of soft energy. They're only used to being in that state of, I'm going to get you to do what I want. And so naturally they keep falling back into those types of habits. But I do feel like they've come to face that part of themselves and they don't like it. And the more that they blame themselves for losing you, the harder it is for them to face themselves. And it sounds odd, but it's like they just keep coming back to this place. It's not, I mean, it can be looked at as self-pity, but it's just really self-degradation. Like, that's what this really feels like here, okay? But that's something they really regret. So what's something else that you would like to share with us today? What they secretly regret when it comes to pile one. Thank you, Source. What they secretly regret when it comes to pile one. Yeah, like they love you. Okay, they love you and they want to be able to share life with you. They want to be able to have this equal give and take. And again, I'm just telling you the energy that's here. There's no obligation for you to invite them back into your life or anything along those lines. That's not what these readings are for. You always have to trust and listen to your intuition. Okay, you know what's best for you, regardless of what's being said on these readings. But I do feel like they wish that they could actually vocalize how they love you. They just don't know how. What do they secretly regret about pile one, Source? What do they secretly regret? Thank you. What do they secretly regret when it comes to you, pile one? Yeah. Oh, they want it the other way. Okay. Bottom of the deck, we've got, yeah, the Chariot. So this could be someone that's a Cancer, someone that has Cancer elements highly aspect in their chart. Cancer in the 7th house. You could have Cancer in the 7th house. You could also have a water trine in your chart. You could have a lot of water placements and also a lot of 7th house placements. But you do feel like there's just that challenge again, like the challenge with your interpersonal relationships, and you're seeking that victory, right? Like you're going to find people who are more in alignment with you, people who are more on the same journey as you. And I feel like you've had some success with that as well. Like you're recognizing that there are people out there who see the value in you as you are right now, And I feel like for many of you, pile one, like you've definitely like fought with this feeling of not ever being good enough. Like nothing you do is good enough. Nothing you say is ever good enough. And the way you show up, it's not good enough. Like there's always this comparison, like everybody else deserves it more than I do because I don't put forth that big of an effort, or because even my best effort isn't going to be seen as enough. And I do feel like there's been a lot of self-defeat when it comes to you because of having to deal with this person. And it feels like you've dealt with this person for a long time. And that is why it's like, I just don't want to be around energy like that. And that's a perfectly valid reason to not invite someone like this back into your life. Okay. It's, again, I'm not here to tell you need to stay in contact with them. You need to go back. You need to, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm just here giving you the messages, and remember to listen to your intuition when it comes to the people in your life, because you're going to know what's best for you. And this is not to make you feel bad about where they're coming from either. And again, I feel like they're being met with a realization that how they handled being around you was not very loving. It wasn't kind, and it wasn't compassionate. It was met with a lot of judgment and comparison and a lot of difficulties. And I feel like they recognize that now. They recognize how harsh they were with you, and now they're having to face that part of themselves. You may actually resonate with the collective message that I did at the beginning, which you'll find timestamped down below in the description box. Excuse me, yeah. Yeah, they were very negative, and this was hard for them. Okay, now I see why they wanted it that way. Okay. You're moving on from the Lovers to the Chariot. Like, you're moving on. Okay? And the thing is that now as they look into the future, they see a future without you there. And they know that there's nothing they can do to bring you back. That it will always be your choice whether or not you come back. And if you come back, I do feel like there's some here that do want to ask for forgiveness. And I feel like they do want to explain some things, but I also feel like there are others here who are still too proud and too disconnected to actually say I'm sorry. But it doesn't mean that they don't regret how they treated you. Because the thing is that they were overly cautious when it came to you. They wanted to protect you. They wanted you to live a life that they weren't capable of living. This definitely does feel like the mother wound here, especially with the Cancerian energy out on the table and the Lovers. Feels like the mother wound, but it could have been a father. Like, you could have had a single father in your life. This could have been a grandmother, a grandfather, an auntie, an uncle, a cousin, a sibling, right? It could be a coworker, an ex-lover. This could be anybody, okay? But I do feel like the thing is here is that there was definitely, with the Hermit in the reverse, we see this excessive caution. I have to be careful. I have to be careful when it comes to pile one. I really need them to be safe. And in that, they created, it's almost like you grew up like Bubble Boy, right? Like, I don't know if you've seen that movie, but you know, like where you lived life in this bubble, and this bubble was just ever harming because it never gave you freedom to be yourself. Like, you had to fall in line. Ooh, some of you could have come from a military family, and this was their way of trying to keep you safe because of some of the horrors that they saw in the world. And I do feel like many of you, pile one, I feel like many of you are definitely understanding of why they did the things that they did, while also knowing that it's important for you to choose yourself, which is a very courageous place to be at. You know, where you're not holding it over them anymore, where you're not expecting them to take accountability for their actions, because they might not ever do that in this life. And that can be ever challenging on our journey, because it's like, we feel like, oh, if somebody would just take accountability for the way that they treated us, then we can find closure and move on. But that's not how this journey works. We oftentimes have to give ourselves closure. But with the Hermit looking at the Five of Swords in the reverse, and they're seeing, they're watching their negativity, right? This is excessive negativity in the reverse. It's just a lot of overwhelmingly difficult, dark, low vibrational energy, always catastrophizing, always seeing the worst possible outcome. Like, even when you're doing your best, they're somehow pushing on the worst possible outcome. Like, you came home, let's just say it was grades, right? Like you came home with an A, and they're saying, yeah, but next time you fail, you know, that's going to totally demolish your GPA and you're not going to get into the college that you want to get into. Like they weren't celebrating the successes that you had, because every success that you had that you felt like, okay, I'm finally going to get approval or appraisal for this, every success that you had was met with that negativity, right? And that's what they're watching. They're watching that all that negativity is what ultimately pushed you into making a decision. And the decision was to choose wisdom. And wisdom led you to choosing yourself. It led you to choosing your spiritual growth. It led you to choosing everything that was set up in front of you, because this was too overwhelming for you. This was too manipulative. This was too malicious, right? The Emperor in the Reverse is a very malicious character, and there's definitely a lot of person like taking this personal, how they treated you. Again, you're not wrong in feeling that way, right? I'm just here to give the message, and again, you're not wrong in feeling that way, because it is very overwhelming. And of course it felt very personal, especially if this is family. Like it's gonna feel very personal, right? Because it's like, why don't you just love me for being your child, instead of I can only be loved when I meet your standards. In some cases, many of you could be feeling like they're narcissistic, and I'm not here to diagnose. I just feel like that this is saying like they may have had some highly narcissistic traits, but I feel like they did it with this idea in mind that I'm saving you from something that I myself had to suffer from. Something that you yourself don't even know, because they don't share what they went through in their childhood. They don't share what they went through in their lives. And that's what they deeply regret, is not being able to build a better relationship with you. And they're the ones that broke your heart, and they know that now. And they know that now. But they're still struggling to feel their own emotions. They're still struggling to come to terms with how they feel about all of this unfolding the way that it is. They lost you. And losing you made them realize that they weren't coming towards you with good intentions. And that was a really difficult thing to face. And that was a really difficult thing to understand for them, because from their point of view, the way that they were acting, they did it with all the best intentions. But ultimately, you were forced into a situation where you had to defend yourself and you had to move forward. They're taking it out on you, right? When they thought they were protecting you, they were isolating you. When they thought they were helping you, they were stifling you, right? Like they couldn't see it that way until you left. And I do feel like there were some choice words that were said here where you were just like, I just don't understand why you can't accept me as I am. And for them, it was really hard hearing that, because it's like, I feel like I am accepting you for who you are. I'm just pushing you to be the best that you can possibly be. But they didn't do that in a conducive way. They did it in a very demeaning and vicious way. But they were so scared that bad things were going to happen to you that they did it that way. So their fear, and we see that, right? That's what they're showing here, especially with the Hermit in the reverse next to the Five of Swords. We see that their fear was what was ultimately driving them into a corner and projecting and casting that out onto you. Their fear is what put them into that energy. Is it right or is it wrong? There really is no right or wrong here. It's just the way that it was, right? Because it's done is done, and we can't change that. And this is what they secretly regret. They regret not being able to just let loose and let you be who you were. And even still, it's hard for them to do that, because their fear, their biggest fear, is that you're going to have to deal with some sort of hardship that they feel like they went through that broke them. Whether that's grief, loss, a job loss, money loss, something like that, or if it was a spiritual defeat, or if it was a broken heart, whatever it was, it's like they don't want you to have to go through that. But at some point, I feel like, especially if this is a parent, at some point they have to see that their children will eventually grow up and they're going to have to face the world. And in facing the world, the only thing that a parent can truly do for us is, when those things inevitably happen, because they will happen, is they can only be there for us. They can only support us. They can only give us love. They can only be a listening ear for us. They can't take our pain away from us. But there's something in this reading where this person wanted to take all of your pain, and in wanting to carry all of your pain, which I feel like this is hard for you to believe, pile one, because you're like, no, that's not who they are. They're a vicious person. They're unkind. But they were driven by their fear, and they wanted to carry all your pain. And because of that fear, they did not understand the ramifications of their own actions. They couldn't even see how they were treating you, because it was like, especially if you're a parent, you're going to understand when I say this. If you've ever lost a child at the store, or if your child got lost, like if you were out walking around and you lost sight of your child, the panic that sets in, right? And how many parents, as soon as they find their kids, they hug them, but then they pull them back and they start screaming at them. Don't you ever do that to me again. Do you have any idea how much I was worried about you? Do you have any idea what you put me through, right? Suddenly we're blaming the child, even though it's not necessarily their fault. It was an accident, right? And then you have parents who, when that happens, they're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you're safe. Don't, like, and they'll give that love, like, I'm so happy you're safe. They're crying happy tears. Like, there's always alternate reactions to that. And whoever this is, they're the one that would push you back and start blaming you for making them so scared. And it's their fear that's driving that. That's what's coming in here. Yeah, Pisces, intimacy, intuition, and compassion. They're also incredibly guilty about how they treated you. And I do feel like at some point it turned into their addiction was to save you by stifling you, to save you by caging you. Felt like, oh my gosh, if I just put pile one in a cage, like they'll never have to experience any hardships in this life. But that's what ultimately pushed you away. And they see how intuitive you are. They see how compassionate they are. They see how kind you are to other people. And they're so scared that you're going to get taken advantage of. And so that's why it's hard for them. Even if you were to come back right now into their life, if any of you chose that, they would go right back to treating you the way that they were. Because again, their fear is basically messing with their reason. Their fear is their reason. Their fear is their logic. They're not coming from a grounded emotional state. They're coming from the wounded ego, and they're coming from emotional immaturity. And that's the only thing. It's like they go down the rabbit hole of what ifs, and all of those what ifs feel like such a reality to them that they project that onto you. And in projecting that onto you, that's why you had to make a decision for yourself. You had to choose yourself over this situation, whomever this is. And again, it's not like they were doing it because they wanted to be malicious. Like, they didn't intend to make you feel this way. That's not what they were, just really trying to protect you. But in that idea and that sense of protecting you, they lost everything. They lost everything. And it's sad. It really is sad to think about that. Someone that loves someone, what they see as love someone so much, right? Because it's coming from a wounded heart. And it's their version of love, but it's not our version of healed love, what we're seeing, right? So in their mind, they're looking at it as like, I love pile one so much that this is my responsibility to do this, to prevent this from happening to them. And because of that, they were just completely blinded to the manipulations. They were blinded to the comparisons. They were blinded to the malicious outbursts that they had when it came to you. They just couldn't see it. They couldn't see the pain behind it. They couldn't see your pain. They couldn't see your reactions or what it was doing to you, because they only saw what was going on behind closed doors in their minds, what was going through their mind, and what they were feeling and thinking in all those scenarios, and believing that they would unfold if they didn't take control of the situation. Yeah, Midhaven, mind your reputation. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I felt like this is somebody who expected you to just have a perfect, like you had to have 100%. And if you could have extra credit, they expected you to get a perfect on the extra credit. Like, you had to have 110%. Like, you had to have the highest of the highest. but that was your reputation. It had to do with everything that you were perfecting became your reputation, and you became identified with all of that, and you had to free yourself from that identity. And for them, that was the crumbling of their foundation, because that's what they really believed was going to offer you opportunities. But you had to seek happiness. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you had to seek happiness. Happiness became the only option for you, instead of suffering, instead of frustration, instead of hurt. Yeah, and love. What is love? And I feel like this is a question that you've asked, Pile 1. Like, what is love truly? Because maybe you've had a lot of people in your life. Maybe you've dealt with a lot of narcissists in your life who have tried to keep you in this box. And for you, I do feel like that question has been very much forefront on your journey, is what is love? What does that mean? What does it mean to actually truly have good intentions for someone? What does love mean when we can be happy and be ourselves? Like, what does that all play a part of? But again, this is confirmation that they really believed that they loved you, right? Like, in their heart of hearts, they believe that they're doing all of this out of love. And I feel like that sometimes hurts some of you, Pile 1, to hear something like that, because it's much easier to paint them as a villain, as someone who is knowingly malicious, as someone who's knowingly manipulative. And while they might have been doing manipulative things knowingly to create protection for you, for them, it was coming from a state of love, what they knew love to be. It was just very small-minded, right? We have death. I'm learning that endings are merely beginnings. Yeah, so there was definitely an ending to this situation. There's definitely an ending here between you and them. And I feel like that was something that they're grieving. And also I feel like there's something there that you might be grieving as well. You know, grieving the loss of who you once were when it came to being in connection with this person. Grieving the old part of yourself that you feel like you had lost, right? Grieving those fragments so that you can call them back, whatever that is. And I do feel like Source wants you to know to let yourself grieve from this situation. It's okay to feel how you feel. If you feel betrayed, if you feel hurt, if you feel heartbroken, if you're angry, if you feel stifled, if you feel jaded, whatever emotion is coming out, like, feel that and know that it's okay, right? Yeah, doubt. I release the need to know all the answers. And I do feel like you doubt, that we said this at the beginning of the reading, you doubt yourself. Like, there's something like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not ever going to be good enough. And that comes from this old way of being and living in this type of energy for so long, because you were always compared to someone else, or because you were always expected to uphold such high standards. Like, it's almost as if you don't have someone there telling you that you're the best of the best, you already put yourself into a box of losing. And I feel like what Source is teaching you now, like, one of the lessons that's coming through for you, Pile 1, is to trust that no matter what you do, even if you put out the worst possible product of yourself, or the worst art, I don't know if you guys can hear that, they're washing the roof. But whatever you're putting out, like, I feel like if you put the worst one out, the lesson is to, hold on just a second. Okay, wow, that was so loud when I was right over the top of us here. I do feel like for you, Pile 1, the lesson is to accept whatever you put out and to be okay with it. And that's how you release this self-doubt. So even if you have something you're like, oh, this is the worst thing, if you're thinking about throwing away, the question here is, can you still let it go and put it out and let it be whatever it's going to be, without trying to hold it up to such impossible standards? Rather, just let it become whatever it's going to become. And that's the thing here. That's how you find that self-acceptance and letting go of that self-doubt. Let's see what else comes out for you here. What do they secretly regret when it comes to you, Pile 1? What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? What would you like to share with them today? One more, they said. Okay. Okay, I guess you're getting two more. Okay, so prosperity flipped out of the deck. Abundance, wealth, good luck, and blessings. Like, this is what they wanted for you. And I feel like what they secretly regret is that you found a way to do that without going through this ridiculous regimen that they had placed on you. And they regret that because they see now that they created a lot of hardships for you along the way. On the bottom of the deck, we have loneliness. Yeah, emptiness, depression, wandering, and gap period. So this is what they're fighting right now themselves. They're fighting loneliness. And some of you might not care. Again, I'm not here to make you care about that. That's not, you know, again, you have to feel what you feel, right? I'm not here to tell you you need to stop feeling that way or this, that, and the other. But I do feel like that if you're really in that state, because there's someone here who's really in the state, like, I don't give a damn about how they feel, like they deserve that or whatever. The minute that we're saying a person deserves that because of how they treated us, that's us coming from our emotional ego, and that's something that we should sit with in order for us to open up to a deeper sense of healing. Okay, and I'm just gonna leave it there, but they're definitely feeling this sense of loneliness, and it's really symbolic that it's a bear here because it's making me think of mama bear, and we're talking about the mother wound here. But that's something they secretly regret. They secretly regret pushing you away and then now having to find this state of loneliness. So I did bring out some romance oracles just because I felt like it was fitting for this reading in and of itself. So we're going to get some more just to get some additional energies here to find out what came through. Yeah, okay, so we've got the Phoenix on the bottom. You're in this new phase of life. You're glowing, you're growing, you're changing, you're finding your abundance, you're finding yourself. You've changed your mind, you've risen from these ashes, this incredibly difficult period in your life that was heartbreak, right? Deeply hurt, feeling lost, grieving, and despair, this breakup. Okay, so this is a heartbreak for you. And again, with grief coming through here and the death card, it's showing that, like, whatever you need in order to take time to grieve this situation, you're being given that right now because you are shifting. Like, your mindset is shifting, who you are is shifting, you're beginning to glow. Like, things are starting to break away from these automatic response systems that had been developed after having dealt with someone like this, right? Those patterns and beliefs that had been forced on you from a young age. So let's see what else came out. Yeah, fire, do it with passion. This is what I was saying. Like, I felt like there's something here that you were forced into perfecting that you actually had a lot of passion for. Like, if it was schoolwork, you may actually have a lot of passion for learning new things. Like, that could be something you really enjoy. If it was music, you could have a real passion for music, playing this instrument, or art, or writing, or anything like that. And they're saying, like, seek your happiness and find a way. Like, can you step away from the box that they placed around this creative idea that you have, and can you color outside the lines and make it become whatever it's going to become, right? Yeah, there's something here, right? Destiny with responsibility, road, and shackles, right? Like, the cage actually is something that has given you so much more strength than you realize, and you're on your way to fulfilling your destiny. Okay, and that's what Source wants you to remember. Like, you let go of what was holding you back because you're so determined. And I feel like this is Source reminding you to celebrate yourself. Yes, this was an incredibly difficult situation. We're not trying to undermine that at all, and we're definitely not trying to invalidate what you went through by any means, right? You are an incredibly determined being. You're a very, very strong soul. Go all out, struggle desperately in belief and victory, right? You grew in a situation that forced you to be complacent, and somehow you still found inner strength and power through all of that. So this, I'm not surprised Ignore came out with focus, detox, and overlook. I do feel like many of you are ignoring this person. And again, I'm not here to tell you you need to invite them back in. We're just looking into where they're at. This is the energy that they're in right now. Okay, they are feeling remorse. They are feeling bad about it, but it doesn't mean that they're ready to elicit change in their own life, okay? So again, if you've had to ghost them, if you've had to ignore them, if you've had to focus on your own healing and detoxing, that is a-okay, All right. And I do feel like you are grateful for what you've learned for this situation. And if you're not, Source is reminding you that an attitude of gratitude is where everything comes from, right? And it's just reminding you that you found so much strength, resolve, and determination in this situation, having to shoulder it for so long. Don't let that hold you back. The fear and the hurt and the pain and the suffering that you went through, don't let that be what holds you back. What did you gain from that situation? So much of us spend so much time focusing on the loss of what we've gone through, the suffering that we've gone through. We forget to look at the gains that we've gotten along the way. And so with the gratitude card coming out, Source is just reminding you to take a moment to think about what you've gained and to be grateful for that, but to also cherish yourself. The golden mirror. Okay, so see, this is what I'm saying. I'm not here to diagnose anybody. Okay, so this could have been a narcissist that you were dealing with, but there is something here that shifted for them where they're realizing their actions did what it did. Okay, so we have narcissist, love bombing, self-absorbed, and one-sided. So again, even if they're not a narcissist, this is someone who was very, very much in a state of doing things because they wanted a certain outcome for you. Not that they were looking out for your best interests. They did it with the best of intentions, but they weren't looking out for your best interests. They were looking out for something that mattered to them, okay? Okay, and for some of you, this was a love interest, a twin flame, or someone that you had felt was a twin flame. You know, I'm not here to label situations, but for this to come up, we've got the yin and the yang and the balance, the union and the duality, complement and polar opposites. Okay, this could have been someone that you had to let go of because you thought they were your twin. You may still believe that they are your twin, but I also remind people to not label others because labels actually put us into confining situations. So rather than focusing on the label, again, focusing on what you're gaining from this situation. If this is a love interest, right, the heartbrokenness, this could be a period of separation, but it could have been a self-induced separation for you because of what was happening in this situation. But I feel like what they're saying here is that it's okay for you to remember that you deserve love. You deserve, what is love to you, right? What is love? Love is not sadness, okay? Sadness coming out underneath this. Love is not sadness, but this is something that you've experienced a lot of in your journey. And remembering that to find love, we have to seek it within ourselves, to reconnect with that divine light within ourselves. And that's when we're shown the way. It's not about another person, which is what a lot of the twin flame community focuses on. They focus on it being the other person. This other person is somehow going to complete you. This other person is going to somehow give you love like you've never received before. This other person is going to give you everything that you're missing in your life, when actually this journey is about self. It's about how we find the way and the path back to our own souls. To come home means to come home to ourselves. And I know that it challenges a lot of the way people believe. And I know that it challenges a lot of huge communities out there that focus on the other person. But Source never put us here to suffer at the hands of another person who never gets their stuff together, no matter how much healing we do. Plus, especially if you're a divine feminine here, it is not your responsibility to heal, to force healing on this person. You should heal because you want to heal, not because you want to be with this person. And so much of the community is all about, well, if they're not in your life, it's because you haven't healed enough. Look, pile one, you've already gone through enough in your life where people have compared you and told you that you're not enough, that you don't live up to their standards. Why are you going to let some supposed the best love connection of all time also put you into that place of you're not enough, you're not healing enough, you should be doing more. Oh, look at other people who are with their twin flames that we don't actually know if that's real or not. And I'm not saying that the journey itself isn't real or that it's not. What I'm saying is that The journey is about self-acceptance, self-love, self-respect. And if this whole time you've been doing something in order to receive love from another person, all you're doing is carrying on your shoulders, again, this old pattern, this old belief of not being enough, which continues to lead to heartbreak. It continues to lead to sadness and grief. And it continues to lead to circumstances where you're at the hands of a certain person in your life and how they choose to view you, see you, and treat you, rather than you choosing to see, respect, and defend yourself. And that's the thing. And I know that that clashes with a lot of beliefs out there, but remember that there's power in empowering ourselves. And when you choose to empower yourselves, then you start to let go of the label itself and recognize that there's so much more to the journey than the relationship. There's so much more to the journey than this other person. And I feel like this other person, if we are the split of one soul, their soul, which is also our soul, wants us to focus on the bigger picture and not the mundane, which is the material physical world, which involves the physical connection itself. Okay, so that's that. Let's go ahead and take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. We're going to see what it says. Yeah, distorted desires. You know, this is a really powerful energy to come in. It says conscious desire rarely satisfies the unconscious need driving it. This is exactly what I was saying. If you feel like, or this could be like again, a parent, but because you feel like you're on the twin flame journey, you feel like you suffered through this, right? And that's, again, I'm not here to invalidate your experience. That's not what this is, but it's just reminding you that we all suffer. Like, humanity is suffering every day. We all have to experience what life brings. And that means that we all bump into other people's cosmos and they change us, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the truly the worst part of ourselves. But when I was talking about this, right? Conscious desire rarely satisfies the unconscious need driving it. When you're focused on the relationship itself, that's the conscious desire, right? It's like, oh, I want this desire. I want this desire. I want this person in my life. I want this love. I need this love. I have to have them in my life. Like, I can't live without them. I'm never going to love anybody else because I want them and them alone. But the unconscious need is actually arising as, I need to love myself. I need to see myself. I need to appreciate myself. I need to honor myself. I need to respect myself. It's not actually about them. But we grew up in a society where we were so others focused that that's what makes sense to us and to our emotional ego. And so we continue to be others focused rather than self focused. And so this is about bringing it back to self. Let's read what this has to say from the book for you, pile one. What a powerful message today. 15. It says, knowing the difference between needs and wants is key to navigating what is at the root of a desire. It helps us to distinguish what is a self-sabotaging compulsion or mirage from what is a genuinely life-enhancing aspiration to be realistically pursued. When what we think we want is not what we need or long for at our core level, the realization of such desires potentially results in something nightmarish rather than the dream fulfillment. In worst case scenarios, this can have us running for our lives like the feared mother or featured mother. Whether or not we consciously recognize the delusion for what it is, an untruth that can never satisfy our needs, illusions have no sustenance or substance, and therefore cannot satiate the burning desire that mistakenly drives us to attain them in the first place. Nonetheless, at the origin of every distorted desire is an invaluable lesson for us to learn about ourselves. Gently unpack the reasons why you are turning away from, rather than confronting, the things that are not actually as they seem in your life. It may be necessary to compassionately release yourself from an unwarranted conviction that things or a person will magically change into what they have the potential to become, and cease making excuses for what they're not. Falling in love with potential does not mean that person will ever fulfill that. And that's, again, that line is so powerful here, right? It may be necessary to compassionately release yourself from an unwarranted conviction that things or a person will magically change into what they have the potential to become and cease making excuses for what they have not. And that includes ourselves, right? Like, we have to fall into choosing ourselves so that we can become who we're meant to become, and not seeing ourselves as some potential down the line. Like, what difference can we make today for our lives, while also not shouldering the responsibility of other people on this journey? Mother's message is, once we get clear on what our heart's core desire is and therefore need, we are ready to recognize it in whatever form it takes and to receive it. Make this space for your heart's true longing to come in by freeing yourself from any illusions still haunting you. Okay, so this situation, regardless if this is a lover or potential lover or what you would consider a labeled relationship, this is a family member, this is reminding yourself to face the truth about you right now. This is not about the other person. This has to do with you. It's not you're the one at fault. That's not what that is. Okay, you're not the one at fault here. You are the person that has to relinquish the hold on this situation, whether that is resentment, anger, fear, hurt, brokenheartedness, your grief. All of these are emotions that you can sit with. And when you finally choose to sit with them, instead of trying to control them or trying to make them less painful than what they truly are, you'll finally be free to move through them. And when you move through them, you'll free yourself from the chains that this situation has caused on you, which you never deserved in the first place. Okay, so this is what I see here for you today. If you feel like this was your reading, leave a little rose emoji down below and say, choose to fall in love with myself, respect myself, believe in myself, and trust that I know what is the highest, most aligned version of who I am, with love and compassion. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. So I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, our angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message today. And until next time, pile one, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice, which also had Mercury on it, or perhaps you felt called to this jade gemstone with the heart chakra seed sound on it, which is Yam. Or perhaps you felt called to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be your reading on what they secretly regret when it comes to you. We're all here sharing this human experience together. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. If the messages do resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing. And I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So with that, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out. What do they secretly regret when it comes to you, pile one? Source, what would you like to share with us today? What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? Okay, and I just want to point out that this could be in regards to anybody. This could be an ex-lover, love interest, family, friends, co-workers. So you should know, as you're getting into the reading, your intuition should tell you who this is in regards to. Just keeping that in mind. And I'm here to share the energy that's coming through. I feel like I just need to mention this because pile one did get pretty intense really quick. So I'm here to share the energy that they're coming from. It is in no way, shape, or form an invitation for you to invite them back into your life. I'm just going to remind you to trust your intuition as we go, and trust your intuition in what decisions are best and highest aligned for you. That is going to be true for anybody here, okay? All right, so we've got the 10th house. So this could be business energy. Whoa, that was Mars. Okay, we've got Leo energy and we've got Mars coming through here. So yeah, this could be someone that you work with. Okay, this could be someone that you've been working with for a long time. This could be a boss. This could be also with the 10th house. This could be a father, because Capricorn, Saturn, and 10th house energy does point to our father wound. Just take it as it resonates. But this is somebody who they secretly regret not working harder when it came to you, or not putting in enough effort when it came to you. Feels like they were absent a lot, or like if this is a boss, like they just poured a lot of responsibility on you, including their own, and then they would disappear and they would expect you to handle it. This is also someone that regrets bringing a lot of drama into your life and being very aggressive towards you. I feel like they wanted to be the leader. They always wanted to be the person in charge. But when it came to you, there was no being in charge of you, because you were very strong-willed and assertive yourself. And that energy in and of itself set up a very clear boundary that they were not able to cross. And so I do feel like the biggest thing that they regret is that they regret not working harder when it came to you. Now, that could be working harder in trying to break down those boundaries. But for some of you, it is going to be that they regret not working harder with you in a positive way, like just being more present, helping you with the responsibilities, helping you with life, helping you become successful, being a true leader in your life, right? They really regret that. And then also with the drama, I do feel like this is somebody who, you guys might hear my AC turn on and off. It's almost 90 degrees today, so the fact that it's actually turned off and on is a miracle in and of itself. And so yeah, that's what that noise was in the background, and it should even out. I know it's kind of loud at first, but it does get quieter after a while. Yeah, this is someone who brings a lot of drama with them. Like, they like to argue a lot. They like to be right, and for them to be right, in their minds, they feel like somebody has to be wrong. And they have wanted you to be wrong a lot. Like, this is also somebody who would like to tell you, I told you so. And they regret that. They regret being in that energy because they feel like they lost valuable time, or they lost valuable connection with you. This could be someone who wanted to date you as well, and they wanted to be right and all the time, and they lost you because they were just focused on themselves, on their own achievements, on their own outstanding successes or whatever. And so they feel like they lost a valuable connection when it comes to you. And pile 2, I'm just going to say you might resonate with the collective message that I had at the beginning of the reading. It's a very powerful message that came in. And if you're interested in watching that, you'll find the timestamp down below. There's no obligation to watch it, okay? But I do feel like they secretly regret being very rigid and confrontational. That's the energy here. Very rigid and confrontational when it came to you. They didn't want to listen to what it is that you had to say, and they secretly regret that. And I mentioned this in pile 1, just because they're secretly regretting this doesn't mean that they're ready to change, right? This is just things that are starting to pop up for them that they're recognizing. And not everybody is going to heal, even if they're recognizing their own faults and failures or mishaps and mistakes, right? Whatever they are. Not everybody's willing to actually go down the path of healing. So just remember that, okay? Yeah, what do they secretly regret when it comes to you, pile number 2? Source, can you give us some more information about this? What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? Okay, thank you. What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? Like, there's this energy where they were just like giving you some tough love, or they were trying to be chased. Like they were like playing hard to get, this type of energy. They wanted you to work harder. They wanted you to strive harder, and they regret that now because you probably saw through them at some point and you were like, I'm not going to put in that effort. And they regret that. They regret that you were different from everybody else. So if this is a love interest, you were the one that never chased after them like everyone else, right? So this could have been someone who's really good looking, had high status, was really desirable by a lot of people. And for you, you were choosing to value yourself and put yourself first and not chase them. And that kind of blew their mind. And so they regret playing hard to get, because they feel like that just basically made you leave their lives for good. Like you never chased after them, which again, we don't have to put ourselves in that situation. But I can see where maybe many of you had experienced that at a younger age, or, you know, back before you were healed, you may have chased people. And when they got into that energy, it probably was something that was really frustrating for you. But if this is a boss, or if this is like family or a father, right? It's like they were always had conditional love. Like they wanted you to chase their approval. They wanted you to chase their love. They wanted you to always be there for them. And then there was something that shifted along the way where you just basically gave back their responsibilities, whether that was a responsibility of work or responsibility of emotions or even mental and spiritual states. Like you just basically said, this is yours to handle, so you need to go figure it out, because I'm not going to carry it anymore. And that made them feel very distraught over the situation. Yeah, they're very wishy-washy. They're very uncertain. This is somebody who's incapable of making a solid decision, a solid choice in life and just in general. Like they struggle to make decisions, and they oftentimes come off as flaky. And through that, I feel like that is something that you have suffered from when it came to this connection. And they regret being flaky because they feel like that's what lost you. Like they never were consistent with how they showed up. And then when they did show up, they're in this energy of being aggressive, playing hard to get, being dismissive, being disassociated from the connection itself, or just bringing a lot of drama and expecting you to handle it and expecting you to just let them be however they wanted to be or however they were. And a lot of times that was expectation of you shouldering responsibilities that weren't yours to shoulder. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so love relationship here. Does feel like a love relationship. With the Six of Cups here, this is somebody who really felt like you were their person. They felt like you guys would always come back together. So this could be an ex, or it could just be a potential love interest, especially with Leo energy here. Somebody you met at work. It doesn't have to be, right? This could just be stating that this is someone who they thought that this is what it meant to care about someone. This is what it meant to give love. This is what it meant to be available to somebody, is to play hard to get, which it sounds weird, right? It's just a weird game that people play. But so many people have been playing it for so long, it's just kind of become the norm. Yeah, and this is something that their family has done. Like, so this could be intergenerational curses that are coming into play that you decided to stop. So like if this is a father, right, like with the Six of Cups, this is like talking about ancestral wounds that are getting passed down from father to child, mother to child energy here. This could have been a Scorpio, a Pisces, an Aquarius. They could also have some pretty prominent Mars placements. They could be a Leo sun. You could have 10th house in Leo or an Aquarius coming in for sure. You could have the 8th house in Leo. You could have 9th house in Pisces or Scorpio. Or you could have Scorpio, Aquarius, North-South node, or Pisces, Sagittarius, North-South node. You don't have to, but that's the energy that's coming out right now. Yeah, they expected that you were always going to be a stable pillar in their life, and what they secretly regret is pulling you through their illusions, right? These confusing ideas that they had, these confusing emotions, right? They couldn't actually state how they felt when it came to you, and because of that, they lost access to you. And they see now that they were narrow-minded, they had a very small vision of life, and they are seeing that you didn't want to invest your resources, your time, your energy, your light, your love, your compassion in something that was never going to be fruitful. Like, you were just not down with that, right? And you shouldn't have been. Like, why should you put in all this effort when you're going to get minimal effort in return? Yeah, this was something that was incredibly exhausting. It was very manipulative. There was a sense of control here. Definitely had nefarious means here. Very emotionally unstable. I mean, these are very, very difficult cards, right, coming out. And these are things that, like, they just believed that you were going to put up with it because maybe there was some point in your journey together where you did. You just put up with however they were and you accepted it, and you were a doormat and you let them treat you however they treated you. But at some point that had to stop. You became empowered, and becoming empowered, you were just, enough is enough. You chose to move on. Yeah. You chose to move on. You became confident and you stood your ground. And that's been really difficult for them because it's lost them access to, I feel like you were just an emotional dumping ground for them to let go. Again, there's like letting go of responsibility here, and whatever responsibility they were pouring onto you, which could be a workload, this could be emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever it is, right? So physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, like all these coming up, they were so used to pouring that onto you and not having to face it themselves that's why they regret this, is now they're having to face these challenging situations by themselves and without you at all. Like, even if you guys work together, I do feel like you've minimized the amount of time that you spend with this person. Like, it's very curt, it's very straight to the point. In some instances, you could be seen as very abrasive when it comes to them. I feel like maybe even outside people have been like, wow, you're really short when it comes to them. You're very abrasive when it comes to them. You're like, yeah, I have to be. Or this is also like family or potential love interest. Like, you could have cut them off entirely. You could have, if you have to deal with family here, you could be coming from a place where it's just very minimal. Like, yes, no, sorry, it's not going to work, and have a nice day. Like, it's just very minimal effort. But you saw through their illusions, especially with the 9 of Cups here in the middle. Like, there's something about the emotional baggage that they were putting on you that you saw through right away, and you chose to let it go, and it left them in a bind, but it freed you from a difficult situation. So don't feel bad about that, okay? Like, don't feel bad about that. But that's what they secretly regret, because now they're having to face whatever it is that they poured onto your shoulders, right? Why do I hear that song? What's the name of that? It's by Lupe Fiasco. It's like, they put chains on your shoulders, put whips up on your back. They be lying through their teeth, hope you switch up off your path. I don't switch up, I just laugh, unaffected by their threats. Busy with that something. Put my kicks up on their desk. Like, that's what it's like. It's like, if you are my homeboy, you never have to pay me. The show goes on. I think that's the name. Alright, already the show goes on all night to the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder? They would see the sun go. Remember when you come on? The show goes on all night. Yeah, it's Lupe Fiasco. The show goes on. But there's that part in there. It's like, right, the chains on your shoulders, the whips on your back. They be lying through their teeth. Hope you switch up off your path. Like, that part of the song is coming through so strong. But then right now, you're unaffected by it, right? You're got your kicks up on their desk. You're unaffected by their threats. You're just focusing on your journey. And that's the thing. And it's like, that's what hurts them the most. And that's what they secretly regret, is because they were so used to using you as this emotional, I'm going to keep saying emotional, but please understand that that also entails emotional, spiritual, and physical. But this emotional dumping ground, like, you were basically their garbage receptacle for all the stuff in their life. And they were so used to you being whatever they needed you to be, that when you became what you needed you to be, it put a damper on their plans to continue to unload onto you. And, you know, again, it was very nefarious here. It was very emotionally draining and manipulative. And I'm not here to diagnose, like, that's not my job at all. But with with the Emperor in reverse, this could have been someone who is narcissistic. This could have been someone who is a covert narcissist. There's a lot of complex PSD that's coming through in regards to you. So some of you could have been diagnosed with complex PSTD. Some of you could have PSTD from this situation as well. Like there was just a really bad situation that unfolded and that created a lot of trauma in that sense. But they were definitely not doing this. Like they were aware that they were doing it, but it's almost like they regret that they get caught, that they were doing it. And there's a vacuum in their life that they're having to face. Yeah, yang energy. Proactivity, expression, doing, and forward motion. So again, 10th house energy here. This could have been someone you met at work, or this is you finally choosing yourself and pouring into your path of purpose, and that's given you something to focus on rather than this person. And they miss your attention. But you've had to move on. You had to move forward from this situation because it was overwhelming. All right, Source, what else would you like to share with pile number 2? Show goes on all right already. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun go? Remember when you come on. All right, so Cancer, I have that song stuck in my head. I love that song. It's such a great song. Cancer energy, we have soften your heart. Yeah, so this is that energy where it's like you gave them the benefit of the doubt for so long, and then finally you had to develop this hard outer shell to protect yourself. And so the heart, the soften your heart, right? It's like nobody gets access to that until they've proven that they're worthy enough to step beyond that. The hard shell. And I feel like that's what with this Cancerian energy, that's something here. It's like this person could have been very passive aggressive. This could have been a codependent relationship or situationship in your life as well. But I do feel like this has created a situation where you've learned that vulnerability is very powerful, but you've also learned that sometimes you have to protect yourself from difficult situations and people who don't value you. And I feel like that might have been a hard situation to learn, but it gave you a lot of strength in this situation. And see, that's the thing, when you finally stood up for yourself, I feel like you also recognize that this person was using you to have strength themselves. Like they didn't have strength unless they were pouring it onto you. And it was false strength, right? That's not real strength at all. It's assumed strength. Like, oh, basically they're draining you. This could have been an energy vampire, but they're like draining you of your energy. And they're seeing that as strength. They're seeing that as I deserve to be higher up than pile 2. Yeah, there's a lot of caution here too. This is like, I feel like, again, that's with the Cancer energy. Right, like this has created a lot of caution in your life. Like, who do you let in? Who do you not let in? Who is somebody that I can open my heart to? Like, you're not very trusting of other people with good reason, right? With good reason. And I always say, like, open your heart. Don't be afraid to let your heart shine. Don't be afraid to put your heart out there. And there's another song that's coming in for you. You guys might really get a lot of messages from music, but it's like, I want you to love like the world's on fire. No, I want you to live. I want you to live like the world's on fire. I want you to love like your heart don't break. Never look down when you cross the wire, like she made it to 40 to make your birthday cake. Right? So it's like, I want you to live like the world's on fire. I want you to love like your heart don't break. Like, this song, and I can't remember the name of that song. It's a great song, but anyways, the thing is that this is that energy. It's like Source reminding you, don't forget to live like the world's burning down, right? It's like, just live and let yourself live. And don't forget to love like your heart doesn't break. Like, it's okay to love like your heart doesn't break. But loving like our hearts don't break doesn't mean that we just freely give it out to every person that we come across, right? We give it out to people we find we can trust. We give it out to people who are free to be vulnerable with us, who are willing to open up to us, right? Like, that's the thing. And I feel like that's why it's like hard for people to love that way, especially when they've experienced difficult relationships, there's always this, like I said, you have a hard time trusting people. And that's something that is at the forefront of every one of your relationships, is this fear that there's going to be some form of betrayal. And like, the more I get closer to someone, the harder it's going to be, and the more it's going to hurt if this person ever betrays me. But that's why Source is saying to trust your discernment, to trust how much you've grown, with growth coming out here, to trust everything that you've learned from situations like this with this person. Because you know when people are for you, and don't set up self-sabotaging prophecies either, where you just like basically say like, well, I'm only going to trust you for as far as I can throw you, right? Because then you'll never find your soul tribe and the people you're meant to be with. It's just opening your heart and allowing those people to come in, and not letting a situation like this to jade you, okay? It says, I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. So you've definitely grown from this situation. You've definitely outgrown this situation. And you've outgrown people who are like this. You can spot them from a mile away and celebrate that about yourself, right? Regret. And it's interesting that this would come out on what do they secretly regret when it comes to you. I know that I cannot change the past. They do regret that they've lost you. I mean, I could say that they regret the way that they treated you. I honestly feel like with this person, this is someone, they regret that they got caught. Like, that's what this feels like. They regret that they got caught doing these unsavory things to you and acting in these unsavory ways. That's what it really feels like. It's like the cheater who, oh, I'm sorry I cheated, but they only say I'm sorry I'm cheated because they feel like that's the right way to respond. Not that they're actually remorseful for their actions. Versus like pile one, I felt a lot of remorse for this person's actions. But this, whoever this is that you're dealing with or that you have dealt with in the past, pile two, it's like they're just not, like they're in a very low vibration. They're not very self-aware. They don't care to be self-aware. They just like to live their life the way they live their life, and they expect people to meet them where they're at. They're not someone who's ever gonna like grow to meet someone else's standard, right? So we do have fusion here with the line openness, harmonize, and collaboration. So this goes to what I was feeling with that live like the world's on fire and love like your heart don't break. Like, Source wants to remind you to stay open to good situations in your life, because your heart is one of your greatest strengths. Your vulnerability is your greatest strength as well. But the way that you love is very profound, and it does leave a vacuum when you leave. There's the big hole. There's something that people are missing from when you leave pile two. It is the same, and this person does feel that, but just because they feel that absence does not make them remorseful for the way that they've acted. So we have oath, contract, and emotional bond. I do feel like there was some sort of contract that the two of you had to fulfill. And I feel like that came with growth on your part. And it was an option for them to have growth on their part too. But again, I just feel like they're very stagnant. They're very stuck in their way of being, and they don't want to grow. Yeah, so we have dating, connections, love, and romance. So this could have been someone that you were dating, someone who wanted to date you, someone, we had that with the Leo energy, someone you met at work, someone you had to realize something about along the way. But definitely a connection here, some sort of emotional bond that you guys shared at some point, and you realized that it was just too one-sided. Yeah, courage, bravery, adventure, fatal, and brilliant. You had to leave. I keep hearing that ship is already sailed. Like, it's dead and gone. It's just not, it's not something that's going to come back. So I did mention this for pile one. I did pull out some romance oracles today just to kind of, I felt like it was fitting for this reading. So we'll see what the romance oracles will say for yours too. It doesn't mean that this was a romantic connection, but they could give us some additional insight for you today, pile two. So what do they secretly regret in regards to pile two? Source, what more would you like to share here? What do they secretly regret in regards to pile number two? Wow, it's just too many. All right. The cards are acting all wonky. What do they secretly regret in regards to pile number two? Okay. One more. What do they secretly regret? Yep. Okay. Cool. Yep. All right, we'll check out the bottom of the deck in just a second. So this flew out first. Karmic relationship, resentment, triggers, perception, intensity, and letting go, turmoil, and fleeting. So source is just showing you, like, this was a karmic situationship. This was very hard to deal with. Okay, it was very hard to deal with, but you learned something exponential with this situation. And a lot of that had to come with honoring your own truth with the sword and the rose here. Clarity and truth, revelations, honor and protection, determination. Like, you learned a lot about what mattered to you and what it is that you wanted in your life. And you have determined through this that you don't want to carry other people. You want people to support you and for you to support them. But that's a different energy than expecting people to carry us to some invisible finish line in life that doesn't even exist, and wearing ourselves out, expecting them to somehow love us along the way if we do that for them, right? So this is something I feel like you've learned along the way. It's like you've just learned to put down the burden of other people. On the so ship, definitely, like, there's a very strong energy coming through ship. Cutting ties, moving on, receive what you need, and progression and arriving. Yeah, so that ship's already sailed. This is somebody you cut ties with. This is somebody you let go. This is somebody that you're no longer going to invite back into your life. And I do feel like they're not remorseful. They just regret that you found out their strategy. Saturn, tough love. Yeah, so it's time for tough love. This is somebody that was a very difficult relationship to work with. But through the situation of tough love, like, I do feel like you gained a lot from the struggle. You gained a lot from the hurt. You gained a lot from the heartbreak. And again, they just, I wish I could say more. I wish it could be more than then they just regret that they got caught. But they regret not having you around so that they could pour that stuff back onto. There may be times, like, if you still have to deal with this person, there may be times when they do try to do that, but you just don't. You don't shoulder it anymore. And they miss you taking care of their heartbreak. They miss you taking care of their wounds. They miss you taking care of their hurt and their suffering. Saturn again, feeling restricted, experiencing struggle, learning hard work and patience. Yeah, this was difficult. This was something that was very difficult to go through. Again, covert narcissism is coming through. PTSD, CPTSD is coming through as well. This could have left you with a lot of trauma, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of hurt. But I do feel like from that, when you've learned to heal yourself, or as you're learning to heal yourself, you're learning a lot of truths about yourself, and you found a deeper strength that you didn't know you possessed. Yeah, anniversary, birthday, holiday, and an important day. So this is somebody you spent some time with, at least a year with, or had been in your life for at least a year. Definitely celebrated some birthdays with them, some holidays, some important days. But again, like, there's a single candle here. And so I do feel like now you're realizing, like, it's not the people that I'm surrounded by. It's about how I feel about myself. Reflection. Yeah. Confession, prayer, and repentance. This person leaving your life was an answered prayer for you, or you choosing to let go of this person. That was like an answered prayer for you from a very difficult situation. There might have been times when you prayed for the situation to end, or prayed for things to finally level out, and it didn't dawn on you that it was leaving. But I do feel like eventually that came through as insight for you that you took very seriously. Yeah, cooperation, acceptance, listening, teamwork, and a win-win situation. So this is your guides, your angels, your ancestors, source. They're all coming in. They've been cooperating with you on healing from this situation. They've been cooperating with you on helping you to overcome whatever hurt and pain and sorrow has been left behind in regards to this situation, the emotional exhaustion. Definitely a lot that this affected you on a mental and emotional level. I also feel like they're just drained. Like, you could be like needing more naps recently, especially like as you're watching this, like around the time you're watching this, which is a timeless reading, so whenever you catch it, right? But you could be finding yourself needing a lot more naps, or a lot more rest, or a lot more just like doing nothing, not even focusing on the spiritual aspect or the physical aspect of the journey, or even the emotional aspect. Like, you may just need to like cut ties with everything for a little while and rest. rest away from people, rest away from even yourself and your expectations. And the reason for that is because you lost a lot of energy when it came to this person. You poured into them so much, and that's why they miss you. And that's why they're regretting the fact that you found out, because you made life easy for them, but it wasn't easy for you, right? And so you're recovering a lot of that energy here that was spent helping this person. Even if this was a long time ago, it's like you've come to a new chapter in your life. Like I see them turning the page in the book, and it's like in that new chapter, it's like this is recovery for you. We're in a recovery season for you, and that recovery comes with needing more rest. Like you could find yourself needing like 10 hours of sleep when you were fine with getting by on 6, right? Like all of a sudden you're just needing more rest, or like all of a sudden in the middle of the day, like if you don't lay down and take a nap, you know you're gonna fall asleep doing work or at your desk or something like that. So you might take a nap on your lunch break, or you know, something along those lines. And that's because you're in a recovery season right now from this energy, from this situation. Yeah, so we have partying, time with friends, having fun, happily single, right? So again, living in the moment. So I do feel like this is your time to really just enjoy your life as you are, and not worrying about having somebody in your life to date, not worrying about having a spouse in your life, not worrying about having a significant other in your life. Like there's something about you really enjoying this time single by yourself and enjoying your own company, hanging out with friends, hanging out with people who get you, who appreciate you, but who don't pour on you, who support you and love you and cherish you, right? Really focus on those types of people here, because you're cutting ties with a very deeply ingrained belief that's been maybe not just with you, but for your family too, right? Like this could be an ancestral curse that's really coming to an end, and your ancestors, your guides and your guardian angels are really helping you to move on from that, and they want you to really just enjoy this time. So let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. We're going to see what it says. Wow, the presence of absence. Hold what is absence in the presence of your love. So yeah, it's something that's missing here. But I said that earlier, it's like it's dead and gone, and that's what I feel like from this card. Let's read it from the book and see what more it says here. This is something that's leaving your life for good. You can pick it out of a group of people from a mile away. There's no questioning that anymore. It says it's easy to fill our thoughts with the loss of loved ones, missed opportunities, and regrets. Our hearts can become so overwhelmed with what is no longer or never has been a part of our life that we lose sight of our present. This can be especially so with regrets around things that we did not say, try, or do. All that we can ever change about our regrets is what we do with our gift in the present. Loss is a kind of death. When we lose or do not attain something we deeply value, something of ourself dies or remains absent along with it. At some point, we have to learn to live on and find ways to genuinely fulfill our present without this cherished person, place, attainment, or situation. Yeah, so you really did care about this person too. And I feel like that's the thing. It's like, so if this is family, right, it's like just that obligation of family was something that was deeply ingrained in you. Or if this was a person that you were dating, had a romantic connection with, like there was just something about this where you felt like this is going to be a forever situation. So there's definitely a lot of heartbreak here, but also I feel like the main thing that Source wants you to remember is that you've learned so much about this. It says the empty space where what we still love or had been or would be can be painful to confront. We can either fill the empty space with who or what is absent, like the crone who sets the dinner table with photos, become absent ourselves, or we can find a way to breathe ourselves back into life. Rather than miss the opportunity to live, we can honor and acknowledge what haunts us with gratitude for whatever was and is no longer, or was not and may never be. We can use whatever was or was not to enrich how we approach living each moment to the fullest. The absence has a lesson for us. It could not have made up for a part of our path if it did not. It is up to us to uncover the insight to use it harmoniously. Alternatively, it may be that you resonate with this card at a level where you find that it is you who has been absent throughout your life. It may be that you have lost a lot of your youth and the opportunity to make something of your life. Take heart in knowing that you are not alone. Your path has has gifted you with an alternative set of inner resources, insight, and tools. To explore the value of them will illuminate a personalized way to the other side of your pain and how to create a meaningful and fulfilling life from it. Regardless of the source of your prolonged grief, the featured crone loves and supports you to move beyond the loss suspending your life or aspects of it. She cautions you to avoid the potential for grief to consume the rest of your life by compromising your capacity to be present in it. Of course, to mourn any loss is essential and needs to run its course. However, it is equally essential to recognize that you are still here, presently able to live a fulfilling life. Honor this blessing by embracing the many opportunities available to you. To initiate this process, it can be helpful to light a candle and hold in your mind's eye what is absent in the presence of your love. So that could be a part of yourself, but I do feel like this is also just showing like this person is grieving the loss of you, and they're holding on to memories. So they're like looking at old photos of you, and they're like wishing and praying that you would come back, but they're not willing to move on from that, right? And you are. And so I do feel like you are grieving a part of yourself that you feel like you've lost, or maybe time that you felt like you lost with this person, right? So the crone's message is true loss and absence are when you lose all of yourself to the past too. So letting the past be the past. Yeah, it was a very difficult time for you. It was a very challenging situation. It's over with, and you've learned so much moving on. There's no going back to being that old version of you, which is such an empowering state to come from. And I feel like that's what Source really wants you to focus on. This was tough, but it was also karmic. It was something you had to learn from. And I feel like learning meant coming back home to yourself, which is very powerful in and of itself. There's the broken heart energy, and you chose the heart chakra gemstone with the jade here. And so doing some heart chakra meditations might also help you to realign back and love and accept yourself, while also letting go of the grief of having spent that time with this person. And please do not beat yourself up. I feel like somebody needs to hear this. Please do not beat yourself up for the amount of time that you spent hoping that this person would change, would see you, would love you, would accept you, would come back and be who you needed them to be. Please don't beat yourself up for that. That's very human of us. Everybody does it. We've all overstayed our welcome without realizing it. And then oftentimes when we do realize it, we spend so much time chastising ourselves. Like, why didn't we just leave? It should have been better if we left earlier. You know what? You stayed until you were ready to go. It couldn't have been any other way. It had to become that. So honoring that too, just knowing it had to be what it had to be so that you could gain what you needed to gain from it. And let go of beating yourself up in regards to this situation, because you really did take a lot from it. Even if you can't currently see that right now, it will become increasingly clear to you as time moves on, okay? So this is what I see here for you today, pile number 2. If you feel like this was your reading, leave the little candle emoji down below and say, I've burned away and become renewed. I no longer am chained by the past. I allow myself to integrate what I've learned and to flourish in this present moment. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I would like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the North Node on it, I have the hiccups all of a sudden. Or perhaps you were called to this piece of lapis lazuli with the third eye chakra seed sound Om on it. Or maybe perhaps you felt called to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be a reading on what do they secretly regret when it comes to you. We're all here sharing this human experience together. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There is no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journeys. If the message resonates with you, it'd mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And please know that your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So let's go ahead and hop to it and find out. What do they secretly regret when it comes to you, pile 3? What do they secretly regret when it comes to you, pile 3? Source, what would you like to share with us today? What do they secretly regret when it comes to you, pile 3? Okay, so this could be in regards to family, friends, co-workers, people at your work, whoever that is, bosses. This could also have to do with ex-lovers or potential love interests. So just keeping that in mind, and yeah. Please keep an open mind because we are connecting with them and where they're at. So I'm here to share the energies that they're in at this moment. And this is in no way, shape, an invitation for them to come back into your life. Please trust and listen to your intuition, and always choose what's best for you no matter what comes out on the readings themselves, okay? All right, so we've got the 12th house, we have Sag, and we have Venus. Okay, so you could have Pisces in Venus, Sagittarius Venus. You could have Sagittarius Sun, Moon, Rising. Pisces Sun, Moon, Rising. You could have a 12th house stellium is coming in as well. You could have a ton of 12th house placements. 12th house dominant, I'm hearing. Also, you could have a lot of squares in your chart. Taurus, Scorpio, North-South node. Sagittarius, Gemini, North-South node. Pisces, Virgo, North-South node is coming in. Okay. What do they secretly regret when it comes to you? Not trusting your intuition. They secretly regret questioning whether or not you were actually talented or gifted. That you were psychic or psychic medium or had one of the clairs or a gift in that way. Prophetic dreams. The vision, the sight. And that you were actually going out of your way to learn as much as you could about it. I feel like this is somebody that you told them how things were going to play out, and they just brushed it off. They were like, yeah, no, there's no possible way that things are going to go down that road. There's no possible way that things are going to happen that way. But then they did. And this person was too proud to admit that you were right. Like, they just didn't want you to be right. It could be because they're skeptical of the spiritual world. Like, they're skeptical of spirituality. They're skeptical of anything beyond. Like, they could be very logical and very fact-driven, fact-oriented. Like, I have to see it, touch it, taste it, hear it, smell it in order to believe it. If it's something that's too unknown for them, they just immediately reject it. And I feel like this is something that it's interesting because they were actually really attracted to you because you're this way, or they were really inspired by you because you're this way. And it's not that they didn't believe that you believed it. They just didn't believe it themselves. And so they mistrusted everything that you were saying regarding your intuition. But there's been like an undeniable amount of things that have happened that have basically shown them that what you possess is a real gift. And they could have ostracized you for your gift. They could have, you know, made you feel bad about having this gift. Like, there's a lot of guilt tripping energy here, or blamed you. Like, why didn't you tell me about something else that happened? You know, and sometimes it's irritating because some people really believe that, like, we should be able to, if you have a gift of psychic abilities or fortune telling or prophetic dreams or something like that. Like, a lot of people get it in their heads that we should be able to tell every event that's happening from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to bed. And that's not how it works, right? Like, we're given insight to certain things that Source allows us insight onto. It's not like we really have control over how it works, you know? Like, even being like a psychic medium sometimes is like when you tell people that, they're like all of a sudden like, well, so what's the name of my dead aunt who's my favorite aunt? And you're like, whoa, hold on, like, that's what you're going to start with, you know? Like, it's not that we can't tap into that, but it's just like people expect you to have an immediate answer, otherwise they don't want to believe you, you know? And even if you give them valid messages, even if you give them valid signs, even if you give them valid synchronicities that what you're experiencing is real, if it's not exactly what they think it should be, then it's a whole lot of hocus pocus. And that's unfair, right? The gifts they're creative by nature, and creativity in and of its nature is something that's meant to unfold and unfurl. It's not something that's meant to be held to restrictive boundaries or restrictive ideas. That's what dampens its effectiveness. And so I do feel like for you, Pile 3, you're very spiritual, you're very connected, you're very gifted. But I do feel like this person just didn't want to believe in your gift, and they may have made you feel really bad about that, or they were really stubborn and they refused to change the way they saw the world, or that they saw this ability that you have. They refused to see it, and I feel like it was making them uncomfortable, and so they did everything that they could to either push you away or to make you question it yourself. But there's something that happened recently, maybe something that you predicted or something that you said was going to happen, and it was just too on spot for them to ignore it any longer. Alright, so what do they secretly regret when it comes to you, Pile 3? How carefree you are is something too, like, they regret not allowing you to rub off on them and to change them in that way, to be more open to things like that. Like, they were just worried about how other people would see them. This could be someone who also, like, this happens sometimes too. This could be someone who also has a gift, but they put such stipulations on their own gift that they've denied access to their own gift, right? Like, again, like I was saying, like, the expectation, like, it has to unfold exactly like this. Or if they've seen famous psychics or psychic mediums, it has to be exactly how it is for those psychic mediums. Otherwise, it's invalid, right? And that's, every gift that's given is as unique as the person it's given to. Because that's what makes it beautiful, right? Like, it's being expressed through your experience and through your perspective and through your vessel, and that's what makes it unique. It doesn't make the gift less effective, but that could be what's going on here, is that there's that judgment where I'm judging Pile 3 because they have this gift that I'm supposed to also have, but neither one of our gifts looks like what maybe a famous person has or what they have an expectation of. So that means, yeah, look, I split the deck, yeah. The Popess coming out as I split the deck to shuffle again with the 7 of Coins. Yeah, they're concerned with it being original. They're concerned with it being different. They're concerned with it standing out or sticking out like a sore thumb, believing that the nail that sticks out gets hammered, right? If in faith and belief and gifts are all unique, but there's so much stipulation and requirement on each of these things, you know, like even from religion or even from other people who are spiritual. Like, there's so many ramifications that are put out there saying it has to be this, otherwise it's invalid. But that's the thing, it's like their biggest concern and what they regret the most is not trusting just how gifted you are and how connected you are. They feel like they dropped the ball when it came to you, but they dropped the ball to having someone they could learn from while also tapping into their own unique gift. That's what they regret the most, and they know that they did you dirty. Like, there's some sort of betrayal that happened here, and I feel like the betrayal was like, oh, you know, like, Pile 3 is never gonna know that it was me that betrayed them. Like, I'm gonna make it seem like I didn't have anything to do with it, but You knew that they were pulling the strings when it came to this betrayal. Like, you called it. I feel like that's the thing. Like, whatever happened between you and this person, you called it word for word what actually unfolded. And it's not that this person did it. They totally forgot that you called it word for word until everything had finished unfolding. And they were like, oh my gosh, pile 3 actually said that's exactly how it will go down. You know what they're showing me right now? It's like, and it's not to make it religious or anything, but it's kind of like when God told Jesus that Judas was going to betray him. And he told Judas, he's like, you're going to betray me. And Judas is like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not going to betray you. And Jesus like told him everything that he was going to do. And he's like, no, I could never do that. You're my brother. Like, how could I ever hurt you that way? Right. And we all know the story. What happens? He ends up betraying Jesus in exactly the way that Jesus was given, you know, insight on. And only after everything had unfolded did he remember what was said. And that's what they're showing me right now. It's like, that's what this feels like. It's like only after everything unfolded were they like, oh my gosh, pile 3 was right. Like, they knew exactly what was happening. Like, moment for moment, they played it out. They told me everything that was going to happen, and I just absolutely didn't believe them. I didn't believe that anybody could figure it out. I didn't believe that anybody could know it like that. And so the whole time they were pulling the strings for this betrayal or whatever it was, it feels like you already knew what the outcome was. Yeah, you already knew how things were going to play out. And they really believed that you were going to act like they were innocent to it all. Like, that they could come back and be like, oh, it wasn't me that did this. It wasn't me that, you know, hurt you. Like, you shouldn't trust that person that hurt you. And you're like, yeah, I don't, because I know it's you. And they're like, oh, how could you? And, you know, you're like, because I know. Whether you believe me or not, it doesn't matter anymore. I know. And I'm always going to know. And we can't go back on that. And that's the thing. And it's like, yeah, maybe they regret getting caught, but I think the main thing is that they secretly regret hounding you for your gift, for your abilities, whatever they are, when they themselves have an ability too, and now they have no one to turn to, no one to ask, no one to question, because they're so embarrassed. Not only how they treated you, but they don't want someone to do the exact same thing to them. And so they're like expecting their karma to be returned in the exact same way that they gave out hardship to you. Yeah, and the red flags here. Like, you saw the red flags for what they were. Exactly. Oh my gosh, okay. So this is, yeah, so with the 5 of Cups here, this is someone that, it could have been someone that you networked with. Like, someone you met through networking, someone you connected with through some sort of class, some sort of outing, some sort of, you know, business venture, whatever it is here. This could be some sort of better, you know, like coaching seminar. This could be some sort of you know, maybe it was a spiritual seminar, maybe it was a spiritual community, some sort of forum that you connected with them. Yeah, it just feels like you connected with them through some sort of networking event here. This is a 7 of Cups, and I know, for whatever reason, I just realized it was a 7 of Cups because I kept staring at the 5 of Cups. For whatever reason, I saw it as a 5 of Cups. So, but that's what it feels like, and I feel like that's why Source showed me the 5 of Cups, and then all of a sudden I just saw it was a 7 of Cups. That's interesting. That's interesting. I really, really saw the 5 of Cups. I just saw that. I saw these two cups actually split apart like that, and I saw one of these cups split apart like that. That's wild. Like, sometimes how Source does that. That's wild. And I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about, Pile 3. I know you've been there where you saw something you were so sure of, and then it was something else. You're like, oh, okay. I do feel like you met this person somewhere. Of course you met them somewhere. We meet everybody somewhere. It sounds so silly. But I feel like you met them out and about, like reconnecting with something you were learning. Something you were gaining wisdom or knowledge on. Something that you were creating. This is the 8 of Cups. My apologies. Wow. I'm going to get there. So this shows that this is somebody that you treated like family, or they became a lot like family. But with the Knight of Wands here, We see this as somebody you had to move away from. And I don't feel like there was, like, you saw what they were doing. You saw how they weren't committed to the spiritual journey. You saw how they didn't want to rock the boat. A lot of mental issue here. A lot of a mental play here. Right? Worries, exhaustion, arguing. Going back and forth here. It's like anytime you tried to share your beliefs, like they'd argue with you about your beliefs. They'd argue with you that that's not the way that things could potentially ever be, you know? And yet you loved them. You loved them a lot. And you thought that together you guys would overcome this. You really thought that you would overcome this, and it never worked out that way. And so you saw things play out, and you thought, maybe if I tell them how things are going to play out, then, you know, they'll see that I'm, you know, not trying to hurt them. I'm not trying to be difficult with them. But somewhere along the way, I just feel like they really unleashed their insecurities on you. And that's the thing, it's like they were judging you for something that they themselves have. But that you were more open to, especially because you chose the third eye chakra with the lapis lazuli here. Like, you were more open to it, more receptive to it with the chariot. Like, you were more willing to see it for what it was worth. More willing to embrace it and to explore it and see what would potentially come from this. And they couldn't bring themselves to doing that. It was a burden for them. And because it wasn't a burden for you, that's why they were unleashing this energy and these projections onto you. And I feel like you still were willing to accept them as they were. Like, even if you guys were on different pages, it's like there's something about how you both still vibed together, right? Again, it felt like family. Like you guys met, and it felt like you met family, like soul tribe, somebody you really got along with, somebody that you considered closer than blood. That's what this feels like. And yet somewhere along the way you saw that it was all just an act. Like, yeah, maybe they acted closer than blood, but they sold you out for pennies, right? They sold you out for gold. They sold you out for somebody else's perspective. They sold you out. They betrayed you. And then in the end, they realized what they had done. It's like after they sent you to the crucifixion, only after that had happened did they realize the madness of what they had done. By then it was too late. They couldn't call you back. They couldn't ask you to come back. They couldn't tell you, like, I'm sorry, because it was too big of a wound. It was too big of a situation. It was there was a lot of shame. They were absolutely ashamed at how they behaved. And honestly, I feel like if they had realized this right after they had hurt you, you know, maybe when you were suffering and going through the pain and the grief of what you had lost with them, if they had just came through and said, I'm sorry, like, I didn't realize what your gift really was, and I'm really sorry. Like, I feel like you would have been willing to at least hear them out. But I feel like so much time has passed between you and this person that, like, even if they were to come forward and apologize to you, just be like, I forgave you a long time ago. You don't need to explain anything. You don't need to tell me anything. Like, we've cut ties and we're going to keep ties cut. Like, that's just how it's going to be. No bad blood, no hurt, no nothing anymore. Because I feel like you've learned so much from this. You learned how to reconnect with yourself spiritually. You learned how to trust your intuition. It was like this situation, it could have filled you with so much doubt, and maybe at some point it did, pile 3. Maybe it filled you with so much doubt, so much uncertainty about your gift. Like, am I really psychic? Am I really psychic medium? Am I really having prophetic dreams? Do I really have the vision? Do I really have the sight? You know, and source and your guides and your ancestors and your angels and everybody in the spiritual realm has definitely gone out of their way to show you, like, yo, you are the real deal, pile 3. You really got it going on. Don't worry about the naysayers. Don't worry about the doubters. But this person, it was somebody that you actually trusted and you valued their opinion. And that's what made it hurt so much. And that's what made it so difficult when things fell apart. But you did overcome this, and you became so much stronger than you were when this happened. And the other thing is too, is I feel like other people are recognizing your gift as well. So you could have an online presence where you share your gift, your talents, whatever they are. But I feel like it's just people close to you benefit from your gift because you love them, and so you share information that you receive with them, and they trust you because it's been proven time and time again. Like, these are people who are like, yeah, like, you said this, and that definitely made a difference for me. Like, that definitely helped me out on my journey, you know, like, and I'm really grateful. And so they might come to you for advice, or you might be a tarot reader, or you might be an oracle reader, or a fire reader, or a tea leaf reader, coffee grounds reader, something like that. You could be an oracle, or you could be where you are connecting people with their loved ones from beyond, you know, like, hey, so-and-so came and contacted me last night and they have a message for you, and they might be like, oh, wow. And when you give them the message plus whatever, you know, little thing that they tied onto it, so it's like, tell them this so they know that it's me. You know those things when you're a psychic medium, sometimes the spirits come, they're like, make sure you tell them this so they know it's me. And you tell them, and the shocked look on people's face, they're like, oh my gosh, nobody else would have known that. That's wild, right? I feel like you've just helped so many people. Like, you trust yourself, and you've definitely become very grounded in your beliefs. But you had to move on from this situation, and it hurt. But as much as it hurt, I feel like you gained so much from it that you don't look back on it with bad blood. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't feel like, even though it could be, right? It's almost like you just, like, it's done. It's over with, and it happened, and they did what they did. I told them they were going to do that, and they didn't want to believe me that they were going to do that. And, you know, even though they tried to make me question my abilities, even though they tried to make me question my gift, like, I'm not going to do that any longer. I'm not going to put myself in that position where I question how I'm feeling. And even though they might have had, like, if you have an online presence, maybe they had more of an online presence, right? Again, like, someone that I was feeling like you networked with, like, they had a greater following, or they had more people around them, or they had more people in their life supporting them than you did. It's like, even though this person they appeared like a stronger opponent, you still overcame this situation, and you still walked away gracefully. And that's the thing, they regret not believing you. They regret not trusting in your abilities. They regret being sloppy in the way that they showed up. They regret that they could have had an ally with you, and they are the ones that created the mayhem between the two of you. Right? You could have very much been somebody that helped them. They could have been someone that helped you too. Like, if they put their pride aside, like, I feel like you guys would have been able to learn together and to open your gifts together. But instead, you were forced into a situation where you had to go it alone. And they're watching. Like, I feel like this is somebody that's watching you rise from the sideline. And it's not that they want to ride on your coattails. Like, I'm not getting any malicious intent here. Like, oh, you know, like, I should be where pile 3 is. Like, pile 3 has my dream. Like, how dare... That's not what it is. I feel like this is someone who genuinely regrets that they didn't believe you because they cared about you, right? Like, they cared about you, and they thought that they were doing the best thing in trying to deter you from believing in yourself. Like, And I know that sounds like it's, well, how could they have loved me and done that? It's just that they really thought it wasn't real, even though they themselves have the gift. And that could have been it. When you left, it opened the door to their gift, and they had to face it alone as well. And that could have scared the living daylights out of them. And then they had no one to talk to about it. And you continued to live out in the open with your gift and growing and becoming more. This card wants to stay out. And that's what happened here. Yeah, North Node, destined to release. Yeah, this was somebody you were destined to release. Isn't that interesting? Because you guys have the North Node dice to choose from for your pile. And we have the South Node coming out here, destined to release. Like, this is somebody that would not have been on your journey with you regardless. Like, this was meant to unfold much in the way that it did. And as unfortunate as that is, I feel like you learned some valuable lessons, but I also feel like you became very humble when it comes to who you are and what you're capable of doing. Like you don't show up in a state of arrogance. Not that you ever have, but you're even still, after seeing this unfold the way that it did, like you never were somebody that wanted to go back and be like, I told you so. Like, that's not the energy that I get from you at all, Pile 3. You get that you're just like, I wish that you would have listened and maybe we could have grown together. Like, it's more sorrow. There's more sorrow behind it than a pride thing. This is just more like it really broke my heart. Like, I really loved this person. I really cared about this person. I really truly wanted to grow with this person, and I thought that they were the ones that were going to go the distance with me on this journey, whether that's a friend or a spiritual comrade or something like that. It just feels like camaraderie here. This really does feel like camaraderie, and it just didn't work out that way. And so I just feel like when you let go, I'm seeing you like out by the ocean and you're holding like a silk scarf and the wind's blowing towards the ocean, and you literally just let go and you watch it drift away and you watch it catch the ocean and the waves take it out to sea, and you miss it, but you realize it's not something that you could keep, right? And that's the energy that I get from you. There's sorrow in letting it go, but there was also a sense of relief in letting it go so that you could trust yourself. Yeah, so we have Libra, find your balance. And that's, I feel like, what happened with this situation is that you learned how to ground yourself in your reality and what was real for you, and to balance that out with both spiritual and work in the mundane, and that helped you come back to who you are. And then we have the 10th house, keep it professional. So it does feel like you did pursue some sort of work in this spiritual field, whatever it is. You're pursuing some work in there. That could be a hobby, it could be a side hustle, it could be your main hustle, whatever it is, but you are definitely pursuing it. And if not, and you've been wondering about it, the 10th house coming out is Source giving you the green light to take that leap of faith. Yeah, Scorpio, this is what I'm saying. Like, you face your feelings. Like, when it happened, you were definitely not afraid to feel what you felt. Like, to feel the hurt, to cry about it, to be angry about it, to be mad, you know, like all these feelings that came up, to be sorrowful and to be pained by it and frustrated by what unfolded. Like, I really feel like you've done a lot of shadow work even before you met this person, and that you were already understanding what it was to just face the situation as it unfolded. And that's what it feels like. And I do feel like this person was not as emotionally mature as you were. And there's something about the situation where this person believed that they belonged on a higher pedestal than you. And you never saw it that way. Like, I feel like you saw them as like, let's take each other's hands and skip through this life together. But for them, they always believed that they were on a higher road than you, that they were higher vibrational than you, that they deserved more respect than you. And this situation, as it unfolded, it humbled them really quick. And they regret being arrogant when you met them, when you guys were building, because now they see the truth. You know, you might really resonate with the collective message that I did at the beginning of the reading. And if you do feel called to it, you'll find the timestamp down below. There's no obligation to watch it, though. If you don't feel called to, that's fine. But you will find that down below. But yeah, I just feel like they regret not trusting that you had the gift, right? Yeah, that you were a mystery. It's like this person was trying to label you with something that they didn't have a label for, and they couldn't understand why you didn't fit into that. Like, why is it that everything about you just kept being outside the lines? Yeah, it's a relationship. This is definitely a connection. I'm attracted to those people who serve my higher good. Yeah, and I feel like that's what you realized with this too, is that you saw that this is just not going to work out. Like, they're on a different journey than I'm on. Like, this is something I have to let go of. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when you let go, you did so gracefully. It wasn't something you fought to keep in your life. That's not what I'm getting from this. It's just you realize that maybe you shared how much it hurt with others. Maybe you shared the hardships that you went through in regards to this unfolding the way that it did. But I really feel like most of you just, you know, had this where it was like, I just have to move on, and I have to keep it moving. Right? Health, exercise, diet, sleep, mental relaxation. Yeah, letting go is for your health too. for your mental well-being. Then we have countryside that flipped over, agriculture, irrigation, harvesting, and rent. And now you're reaping the rewards of the seeds that you planted, you know, even before this person came into your life. We have Bell here with call, warn, wake up, and signal. And I feel like this is a wake-up call for you to really believe in yourself. And you've been working on that. You've really been working on that. And you put so much effort into believing yourself. And the gratitude card here, I do feel like many of you look back on this situation, you're grateful that it happened because it taught you something incredibly valuable about yourself. Not just a lesson, but just about yourself. And I feel like that has to come down to self-trust and really believing in yourself, right? Especially with Venus here, you know, self-love, self-care. These are very big things with Venus energy. Venus is connected to the goddess Aphrodite, and Aphrodite, she's the goddess of love. But the unique thing about the goddess Aphrodite is that she does not fall in love with anybody because she's too busy taking care of herself, right? It's not about romantic love for her. It's about the fullness and the expression of herself and her highest vibration when she feels the most like herself. And that's what's so powerful here. And I feel like that's exactly what you learned from this situation. And so while you might have close connections, and you love the people that you love, it still at the end of the day, as much as your past self may have wanted to been so reliant on others, you're very reliant on yourself. And it's not that you hold people at arm's length. That's not what I'm getting here. I do feel like you let people in, and people have questions. You answer their questions honestly. You give people love and compassion. You're very open-hearted with people. And the people who want to give to you, they do give to you. But for you, it's not about that connection in this life any longer. It's always been about the spiritual connection. And that's where you found resilience and longevity and connection and truth, and where you felt like you've always belonged. And so your spiritual connection is the number one most important thing in your journey. And then everything else kind of comes second to that. And some people might not agree with that outside of you, but it doesn't matter because that's what you found has worked the best for you. And I feel like that's a powerful place to be at, because it's just like someone saying my faith is the first thing. That's the number one thing in my life is my faith. That's exactly what it is for you. Everything else comes second because it's about your connection to the divine. And then everything else is in the mundane, and that's not as important as your connection to divine, because the more you keep your connection with the divine, the more everything else in your life flourishes. And that's been proven time and time again. Oh, look, with the seek, yeah, guidance, help, and miracle, exactly. Like this is this cathedral here. That's exactly what this feels like. Like that's the number one most important thing for you is your guidance system and source and what you believe in, and trusting that above all. Like that's what you put all your faith in is source, and what you continue to rely on is what source does for you in your life. And that's a very powerful place to come from. And if people are like, well, I should be the number one, it's just like, I understand where you're coming from. I feel like that's what you tell people, like, I understand where you're coming from, but it can never be that way. Because when I put God first, or when I put source first, or when I put the universe first, my life has a way of always working out for the better. But when I put people first, or when I put other things first, my life suddenly falls apart. So of course you're going to go with what helps you the most, right? And so I feel like that's just where you're at. I do have these relationship cards. I felt like they were important to pull for this reading. This doesn't have to be a romantic connection, but these are romance cards, so they should just give us more of an insight as to the energy that's been present here in this reading today. Yeah, so we do have Cupid's arrow. The first line on this card, have faith. If we look at everything, or like just take away everything else, have faith. And what I was just talking about, that's so synchronistic, right? It says love is coming, surprise invitation, and struck by love. I feel like your heart is really pouring into the higher ups, right? Like the higher beings, God, source, whatever you call it, that doesn't matter. God is, gods, and whatever you believe in, right? I feel like it's just important that we're accommodating to all, because everybody believes in something different, and that is perfectly okay. It's whatever you resonate with. And I feel like that's the most important thing in your life, and that's what it should be. Yeah, we have Cancer, nurture, comfort, and protection. You've learned to protect yourself on this journey. But I do feel like when you met this person, it was very nurturing. Like you guys had a very good connection, and then it just very quickly things fell apart because you were different. Aquarius energy, originality, philanthropy, and progressive imaginings. It was because you were different. You stood out. And again, they really believed that the nail that sticks out gets hammered. And that's, so in a way, they thought they were doing you a service by hammering at you. But hammering at you is what just pushed you away. Yeah, your energy is really profound. It's also, I feel like when you walk into a room, like people know you're there, whether you announce yourself or not. The energy shifts because you walk into the room. You have a very powerful presence. I feel like you have very powerful spirits that walk with you, very powerful guides, or very powerful angels and ancestors that are at your back all the time. And not only is your presence made clear, but also this protection from the divine realm is made clear. Gratitude again. Yeah, I'm thankful for this life and the opportunities it presents. I do feel like you're very grateful for everything in your life, even the hardships. Like, I don't get that you're in a state of resentment at all. Like, I don't feel that from you at all. I just feel like you made peace with the past, and now you're trying to live in this present moment. You don't worry about the future. You do your best to stay here. Of course, we're all human, and we're going to have, you know, mistakes and fallbacks and this, that, and the other. But I feel like you're just very accommodating to yourself. And that's made a lot of powerful shifts in your life. Sunset, decline, fade, and aging. Yeah, what's gone is gone. But it doesn't mean that it can't be beautiful in its own right. Heartbroken. Yeah, deeply hurt and sad, feeling lost, grieving, and despair, breakup. So this did bring a lot of heartbreak for you. And I feel like people believe that you bounce back really quickly, which you may be incredibly resilient, which is a superpower, truly. But I feel like you grieved this in a very profound way. And because you sat with your grief, it opened you up to a lot of clear thinking and a lot of understanding about yourself. The snake, yeah, competition, enemy, the other woman, look over your shoulder. So this could have been also the thing, like what I was saying with Judas energy, right? I'm not calling them Judas. I'm just saying, like, I feel like you called it like it was. And then that suddenly created this rift between you. And maybe you saw them as competition. Maybe they saw you as competition. But that's not the energy that I'm getting here. I really feel like it was just you looking over your shoulder and trying to stand up for yourself in the calmest way possible. But it was not, you couldn't stop the snake in the grass, right? Like, it's not something that you could have stopped. It had to happen. The snake had to, I don't know why we're talking about religion. Maybe you're religious. Maybe you are a Christian, and that's fine. Like, you know, I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. You have to choose what's right or wrong for yourself. But a lot of Christian analogy coming out today. Like the snake that convinced Eve to eat the apple, right? Like, I feel like that's the thing. It's like, in a way, the snake gave you the wisdom that you were lacking before, that you were blissfully innocent and unaware of. And that's what it feels like. So it's like almost as if they played that part in your life where they gave you that information that you were lacking before. And I feel like you're aware of that. Yeah, partying, and that's the thing. And now you're just happy being with yourself, happy connecting with the people who you love, who you connect with. But it's also not putting all your eggs in one basket when it comes to these people. You know who to trust. You know who's a partier. Like, you know who matters. You know who is just kind of like there. Like, you're aware of people. You're very discerning of people in your life. And you give 100% to everybody that you love. But the first things first is your faith. It's your religion. It's your belief. It's what you find comfort in the unknown. Okay, and that's what it feels like. And again, living in the moment, we talked about being in the present, and I feel like that's something that's really important for you to remember and to celebrate, is that you've come into this present moment, and it's very profound. So I'm going to take a look at this and read this from the book. We're going to see what card this is. Repair. What an interesting card to come out. It says, making amends rather than fun times reveals a relationship's true constitution. making amends rather than fun times. And I do feel like there wasn't amends that were made here. I feel like there's just no way. And again, it feels like it's too late now. Like there's something here where it's just too late. Like it's happened too long ago. There's no way we can go back and fix it. But the true constitution of your connection with this person whom you saw as family and whom you cared about deeply, you saw the truth in the connection, and again, you've made peace with that. It says the integrity and the strength of a relationship lie in how both parties show up for repair and not how they play, nor their conflict style or frequency. Although challenges that arise in our relationships can be painful and difficult, they are also how we grow, learn, and explore who we are both individually and together. Repair is where we get real with those who we are in reciprocally valued and respectful relationships. It is where we are seen as we are without the mask of composure and impression management. In a true relationship with another, we realize it is okay to make mistakes, have flaws, and fail to live up to our best possible selves. When the relationship is genuine, we are sincerely doing our best and our intentions are pure, all is reparable. Together, it is possible for all parties involved to heal from the wound, strengthen the bond, and advance. Mutual love, desire, integrity, and the willingness to do whatever the repair takes are the ingredients to this beautiful unfolding. However, it is also of equal importance to acknowledge that there are indeed some things that happen or are said and done in a relationship that are irreversibly cross a line for one or all parties. When a person is self-lovingly unwilling or unable to come back from such a line of theirs being crossed, the true repair is not an option. In instances, the healthiest approach is to acknowledge that the relationship is over and to part ways. Although the ending of a relationship can be excruciating, it is optimal to dodge what could involve further damage. If one's line in the sand has been violated once, it suggests that the relationship is unsafe for this person and best released as a necessary lesson that has run its course. This way, each individual can independently repair themselves and eventually move on to relationships with others that are reciprocally healthy and respectful fit. Once a relationship with ourselves works in a way that is good, self-respecting, accepting, and loving, it is possible for external relationships to work in this way too. The featured crone encourages you to welcome the truth in whatever conflict, resentment, or hurt that arises in what is at heart. A real, good, and genuine relationship is an opportunity to grow. With good and safe people, it benefits them and us to embrace the challenges, differences, and disagreements that inevitably surface throughout the long haul. Conflicts only seem to threaten the connections we share with loved ones. This is especially so when we let them fester without discussing an issue and not equally commit to mending whatever stitches have come undone. And that's what I feel like happened. It's like they just let it fester when you left and they didn't say anything, and now that's what they secretly regret, that they had said something when it first happened, that they had said they were sorry, that they explained themselves, that they had at least just come forward. And I feel like they didn't at all. They just left the silence and the space there, and that space continued to grow. Instead of disagreements temporarily separating us from our loved ones, any damage the relationship suffers is an opportunity to increase the intimate connection. This can be done if and only if both parties are equally invested in the relationship and want to do the work of repair. The crone's message is authentic relationships are made of what it takes for shared repair and growth. Yeah, and I feel like that's what Source is saying too. It's like you loved and cared about this person, which is so beautiful, but it wasn't authentic to you and you weren't authentic to them, and that's okay. You guys are just on different paths on your journey, and I feel like accepting that and moving on has given you a strength that is unwaverable on your journey, and it has also taught you how powerful you are, and in empowering yourself, you've come to really trust yourself and take a risk for yourself on this journey, which is very, very inspirational and truly inspiring. And just truly inspiring. What you're doing is truly inspiring. I love that. So I'm sorry that you had to go through this, but I hope you know that what you've done and how far you've come is worth celebrating, okay? Really quickly, if you've chosen to watch all 3 piles with me, leave a purple heart down below. That makes you a part of my Purple Heart Club, or you can say I made it. I know what that means, and I want to say thank you to anyone who spends any amount of time with me. If you feel like this reading is your reading today, leave the little snake emoji down below and say, even though the snake crawled through the grass while I was there, I was aware and I knew what was happening, and I've come to learn to trust myself wholly and completely. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. If you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this incredibly powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 3, stay human. Bye.